What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Dairyland Drive podcast. Collin, Mike, and Riley, as always, going to chat a little football. And boys, 1 week from today, we are recording on a Sunday, is the start of the Packers football 2025 season. That sounds good. College football was this past weekend, some good games, but hey, there is no secret. Football is back, and yes, it feels good. How was your weekend? Just watching and just absorbing all of the football that returned to our televisions.
Weekend's been good. Watched a little football. I did get out golfing a little bit, so that was nice. Had a buddy back in town, so I got out there with him. It's been a good weekend so far.
Oh yeah, great. Football Friday nights had the first game. Didn't lose, didn't suck too bad, so I'm not pissed off from that. Then just watched football for literally like 14 hours straight yesterday. Oh yeah, hopefully finish it off with the Catholics versus the Convicts tonight after we get done recording. And I fucking hate Carson Beck, so I'm actually gonna cheer for Notre Dame for once.
And he's being a little modest. They got a shutout win on Friday. Pretty lopsided. It was like 46 nothing or something like that, you said. So I would say that's probably a little bit more than not sucking. So I would little momentum going into next week. But yeah, football is back, and yeah, it certainly felt good. My other football team is just awful right now, so I'm like full focus on American football right now until that shit changes. I don't know if it's gonna change. It's 3 games now and they haven't scored. Like we're entering 270 minutes plus of Premier League play and they have not scored a goal. Or really, I don't even know if they've really had any legit scoring opportunities. Like it is bad right now. So one thing I know for certain, Logan is listening. He is not picking Aston Villa. If he's watching these first 3 match weeks of trying to decide a club, they are certainly out of the mix for him. But yeah, there's some good college games. We'll get to that in a little bit. But before we get to college, I want to chat a little Packers. Obviously, the big news before the weekend: Micah Parsons, the blockbuster. Officially number 1, which I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. Micah Parsons going number 1. Matthew Golden switching from 22 to 0. A couple other minor switches, but those were the 2 big ones. After it just kind of marinated a little bit, the initial shock wore off, and kind of maybe fully processed that Micah Parsons, after his opening press conference, him announcing what jersey number he's going to wear. What are your kind of your stance or your thoughts right now? Are you still in shock, or has it finally actually processed that Micah Parsons is going to put on the green and gold and line up for Jeff Hafley's defense in 2025 and the years to come and be just an absolute force for us Packers fans to watch?
I would say the initial shock has worn off, but I don't think for me it's gonna truly set in until I see him out on the field on Sunday. The thing for me the last few days that's been kind of amusing is just kind of seeing like Bears fans and Cowboys fans online kind of not exactly having a meltdown. Maybe they are internally, but kind of expressing how, this isn't going to really do anything for the Packers. This doesn't move the needle. Cowboys won the trade. It's like they're expressing their delusion, trying to convince themselves almost that this isn't going to work out for the Packers. Like they're going to be a salary cap hell for whenever this happens. But if you look at the contract, the numbers salary cap wise work out pretty favorably for the next like 3 years. I mean, it doesn't really get terrible until like 2029, by which time they'll probably restructure anyway and keep kicking that can down the line. And salary cap's going to go up inevitably anyway. So, I mean, it's just, that's been kind of amusing to me, just watching them kind of go through this. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I think I texted this in the group chat. I think looking at the contract, Mike was just talking about it. I think the Packers push it up that high, like numbers wise, even though it's not actually that number of 47. It is, but it isn't, because Aiden Hutchinson's coming up here soon. I think the Packers push that number so high to fuck the Lions a little bit, because Hutch is going to want more. He's going to want to be the highest paid. So that actually is a master class from Goody, pushing that number so high to fuck over the Lions here, because Hutch is probably the next one up. For me, looking at it, I mean, him wearing number 1, Golden wearing 0, I think they're both absolutely just filthy choices. It's just going to be fucking sick out there. The things I'm thinking about is just, I wonder who the opposite defensive tackle starter is going to be. I wonder how they're going to divvy up these snaps of all these defensive ends. I wonder if Van Ness is going to get some reps inside because he's probably bigger. And I mean, obviously they're going to want to see if he's getting any better at some point in time. And I wonder how much they're gonna use Parsons off the ball. I mean, I think that's gonna take a couple weeks. Obviously, it's gonna have to be pretty vanilla for him. He only has what would it be? First practice is Monday, so he's literally only gonna have the 5 or 6 days to learn as much terminology and whatever calls as he can. So I think he'll play more than anybody's expecting him to. I think he's just an alien like that. And yeah, I don't know, just going off what Mike said too, just all the delusional fans online acting like Micah Parsons, like it's not that big of a deal. It's like everybody know, like if you imagine how insufferable Bears fans would be right now if they traded for Micah Parsons and like now they acting like he's not that good. Like I don't know why people are acting like he's like not a top 3 defensive player. Like it's Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Micah Parsons, and everybody fucking knows that. Like it's not an argument. I don't understand why people are like acting like it's not a game changer. But like, I don't know, whatever. So yeah, there's a bunch of small questions, but yeah, it's settled in and I'm pumped. I think we'll see a little craziness, but I think that's gonna probably be until after the bye week. I think it's gonna be pretty basic for Micah through week 4, and then week 5 they got the bye. I think that's a month into the system. They have that entire bye week to look at it and be like, all right, how the fuck do we want to use this alien? And after that, so week 6 going on, I think you're going to see full Micah Parsons and the Packers defense, like crazy shit, doing everything. I think these first 4 weeks, they're just going to go get the quarterback.
And how could that be as us as Packer fans, me and Riley, we're going to the Bengals game, which is week 6. We could see fully unleashed Micah Parsons and, dare I say, Christian Watson potentially, maybe getting some limited snaps on the offense if he returns after the first 4 weeks. Could be some interesting thing. I'm not going to say Marshawn Lloyd because he'll cough or something, and something will happen at practice before he's reactivated. But couple things that stood. Hey, if he proves me wrong, I'll eat my crow. But until then, a couple things stood out. A couple things stood out to me. The whole just like Dallas coaching staff ownership just doubled down on the trade, which yes, they kind of have to, but just like Jerry Jones is just very delusional. I think of how just like the whole situation of like, we wanted to get better against the run, like him basically saying Micah Parsons leaving is somehow going to like improve their defense. Like kind of maybe get it in a sense of like the future if they're going to get all these like draft picks that work out. But again, they have to work out. Yeah, they're going to have some salary cap space, but you have to do stuff for it. Quite simple. You lost one of the best players on the defensive side of the ball currently. And like, I saw some like stats, like some advanced stats when he was on the field the last 4 years with the Cowboys. They were like a top 3 defense. And then when he was not on the field with them, if he would like miss some time or just like wasn't playing, like they were like in the bottom third of just like how they were ranked. So just kind of how like the entire like brass of the Cowboys like doubled down, saying it was like a collective decision. I guess good for them. Like we'll take it, but it's just kind of crazy to me how you just like you can be upset about it. You can kind of like you said, like Cowboy fans, you're allowed to be upset of losing one of the better players on the defensive side of the ball in football. It's totally okay. Like I said, like maybe 3 or 4 years now, if all these draft picks work out and you hit the lottery and use some of that cap space, sure, then you can like kind of maybe look back at it and be, you know, on the other side. But right now you can be upset about it. The crazy thing I saw was they were like pulling up like what his playoff record is so far. Like they were just digging on like everything to try to find like negatives. And that's just like crazy to me. But going back to what Riley, yeah, I don't think he's gonna have like a full like a full snap count, full roll week 1 by any means, but if it's just very simple and like white and black for him week 1, like I'm completely fine with that Micah Parsons for the first 4 weeks. If it's just as simple as rush the passer, he's pretty damn good at that. And he can do it from both sides, both edges, and even like up the middle. Like we've seen him have success all over. So I think a very like basic training wheel version of Micah Parsons after 1 week of practice, I think that's going to still help them win the game and kind of be, potentially a game wrecker against the Cowboys. The other last thing I thought was funny was the back injury. Miraculously, feels better now. So that's always good to hear and see. And then the comment he made of, I think one of the reporters asked him how he kind of, if he's going to be ready for week 1. He's like, well, they're paying me all this money not to sit on the sidelines. They're paying me all this money to like play. So I think that was kind of cool and hopefully kind of excited, and we'll see. But let's talk a little bit about the Lions. It is game week, like I said, officially game week here, as we're 1 week out from the first game. I want to start on the other side of the ball because I feel like that's where a lot of the nerves are right now with the Packers offense, because there's just so many unknowns, probably like questions on that side with like how healthy is Jordan Love? What is Jordan Love realistically going to look like week 1? What is the chemistry of just like the offense, just with him and the skill position guys, because they haven't practiced together fully, like 11 on 11 for a couple of weeks now. What's the offensive line going to look like? Who's going to be the starting 5? I think that's a lot of question marks is on that side of the ball. So as a Packers fan, where do you kind of stand right now, 1 week out from the game with the offense, just in terms of like if you had to maybe rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, like confidence meter of where you feel with the Packers offense right now going into week 1 against the Lions? Where do you kind of sit? Because let's not forget, when the Lions defense is healthy, they're pretty good. We mentioned Aiden Hutchinson is one of the wreckers in all of the NFL. They have a pretty improved secondary. They got some good playmakers on that side. So this isn't just some kind of cupcake, starting off the season when you're already kind of a little rusty. This is a pretty damn good defense, maybe a top 5, top 10 defense in the NFL. So confidence level wise, but before, 1 week before the first game on offense, where do we kind of stand right now with the Packers offense going into next week?
Scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to put myself right in the middle at 5. Like you said, there's just so many question marks on health, who's going to play, what their availability is going to be. I think with Jordan missing some time, receivers missing time, I think it's going to look kind of clunky, probably first game, if not longer. And add in the fact that Detroit brings in a new defensive coordinator, so they don't know like exactly how they're going to play, like schematic wise. And you mentioned they have some good players over there, so a lot of question marks. I don't feel terrible about them. I feel like they're too talented to feel like not confident at all. But I think there's too many question marks to just be right out of the gate like, yeah, this team's going to come out firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think I'd put myself at a high 6, maybe a 7. I think the fact with all these questions like Mike just brought up, I think it's going to force them to run the ball, and Josh Jacobs is healthy. So I'm actually more confident knowing that that's probably what they're going to do. The security blanket is run the ball, because I think that's the way to eat this Lions defense. Like Collin, you said, like their defense is stacked. Like on paper, they are fucking stacked defensively. Like they have obviously Hutch. They have Marcus Davenport, which is a good defensive end. They have 4 guys inside they can rotate. They got 2 white linebackers. That always bodes well. And they brought in DJ Reader opposite of Terran Arnold. I think Terran Arnold is like the corner they're going to have to attack. He's the one, he had flashes last year, but he's still young. He's the one they have to probably go after, but they have a really, really good safety duo. And Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, obviously. So I think the weakness is definitely just running at them. So yeah, Josh Jacob being healthy, everything else being a question mark. I think they'll do that. I think they'll do a lot of play action stuff just to keep it simple. I think they know right now that Golden and Dobbs are obviously their clear 1, 2, and then Kraft 3 or whatever order you want to put those 3 in. So I think it actually might benefit them slowly working back in Jaden Reed and Wicks. Obviously still waiting for Watson too, a month out, but I think the fact that all these question marks is actually going to force the Packers to be pretty basic and just run the ball and do play action and just give it to their best players and not try to complicate things. So I think that's what they're going to have to do, and I think that's actually the Lions' weakness. So I actually think I don't know if it's going to go well. I think they're going to put pressure on Love. I think they're going to send the house, similar to they did last year. But I think they have guys that can take advantage of what the Lions do. But their defense is stacked on paper. So it's going to be a tough one regardless.
Yeah, and I won't get into too many of the questions because I know Mike's got another fun fill in the blank segment here at the end, so I don't want to ask too many and give things away. But looking at the other side of the ball, and again, Mike, you can stop me if this is potentially in the category of one of your questions. I'll start with Riley here. How crazy do we see Jeff Hafley's defense here in week 1? If I had to give you the same 1 to 10 scale of like him kind of dialing up, and maybe we've talked about how he can be psychotic and have all these different looks. Week 1 with having a brand new player coming in, some of the injuries potentially working around. How crazy do we see Jeff Hafley maybe on a scale of 1 to 10 defensive wise against the Lions here week 1?
I think he will dial it back a little bit. I hope he doesn't. I hope he can just tell Parsons to rush off the edge, whatever side they put him at. Probably the defense is right because Gary likes the left more and blah, blah, blah. But they got to send pressure up the middle. I know the Lions' weak point is obviously not skill players. It's the offensive line. Graham Gazlow is moving to center from guard because Frank Ragnow, probably the best center in the NFL, just retired this offseason for the Lions. That moves Christian Mahogany, was their 5th or 6th round draft pick from last year. Didn't play much. He'll start at left guard, and then Tate Ratledge, which I talked about him on our pre-draft thing way back in early April. Rookie out of Georgia. He'll be their starting right guard. So their guards are their weak points. So trying to confuse them. We all know Goff is not mobile. So trying to get him off his spot by getting pressure. And yeah, I'm gonna be fucking very pissed off if Hafley drops back into some basic ass zone coverages, because Goff and Amon St. Brown are going to fucking pick them apart, and everybody in the NFL and the fucking world knows that because that's what Goff's good at. He's smart. So yeah, they gotta send pressure. They gotta move them off the mark. They gotta disrupt routes and timing. They can't just sit there. Obviously the Lions' run game is very good, so I'd say pretty box heavy and send pressure off of that. Run blitzes, pass blitzes. Hey man, let's see what our corners got. I'd rather fucking find out week 1 if our corners can hang all year, or we're gonna have to change. Like we said, bye week's week 5. That's when we can get full of Micah Parsons craziness. But I think also by week 5, we need to know if our fucking corners can actually match up and play man, or do they have to change everything in the bye week and are doing zone shit and blah, blah, blah. So I know this is the time, in my opinion, to figure out what they got. And like I said, just you can't let Goff just fucking sit there and pick apart his zone. He's been in the league too long. That's what he's known for. He's too accurate, too smart.
Yeah, I love everything that Riley just said there. A lot of good points. Obviously, he's the defensive mind here, defensive coach. So I'll trust his word on everything he just said. So,
okay, I think sneakily too, and this might be kind of just like a generic, maybe BS answer, but I think an X factor could be the Lambeau Field crowd, because Detroit's had a lot of success at Lambeau Field the last few years, and Lions fans travel very well, and they're very loud and very annoying. So I'm assuming week 1 at Lambeau, and I believe it's the Fox. Is it the Fox game of the week too, or is it the CBS game of the week?
Fucking Tony Romo.
Tony Romo. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good crowd, obviously, and pretty electric. So hopefully we get the full on everyone standing for a good chunk of the game, Packer fans for this one. Because I don't think it's a Milwaukee game, a gold package game either, I believe. So
No.
hopefully we'll get the rowdy ones to start with that. And again, I don't want to get too much into specifics because we'll turn it over here to Mike for a second. I think a big X factor too is Nate Hobbs hasn't practiced still. So what is kind of we'll see kind of what the status of that is, and I think the defense could potentially look a little different there. I know Xavier McKinney has been back, which is great to kind of see him practicing and slowly working in, and then the offensive side of the ball too, like which receivers are going to be healthy enough to play. I know Jaden Reed had the foot injury and going to be battling through that. Dontavian Wicks has just been off the face of the earth. So we'll see if those guys get back and practice and kind of get in the groove of things. Otherwise, it could be a heavy dose of Josh Jacobs and two tight end sets and two wide receiver sets with Dubs and Golden. But all right, Mike, I will turn it over to you before I give anything else away. You have some fun fill in the blanks for the Packers. If it's this upcoming Sunday's game or just in general, I will turn it over to you.
All right, little week one action here. Speaking of Nate Hobbs, him missing most of training camp means blank for week one.
I'm gonna say up in the air. Because he hasn't like returned to practice like at all, like in any capacity. I think he's like been in the rehab group, if anything, this whole time. So he's a guy where I would like trust him to be back in some capacity, but he has to get some practice time in. So I think it's going to be very telling tomorrow if he does return at least limited and to like starts to do some individual drills and start to maybe get some work in, and maybe it's not like full team stuff, but yeah, if he doesn't get a couple days of practice in, I think it's very like doubtful and uncertain that he'll play. And we'll probably see a high usage of like Carrington Valentine and Nixon on the outside, and probably
Bo Melton,
potentially Bo Melton a little bit if it comes to that, and a lot of I guess we'll see, but I don't know. Bowler, I still feel confident. I know he's been kind of up and down, but I think he could still be a really good in the slot and where he's going to primarily play. But yeah, I'm most nervous about that one, I would say, because like I said, he just hasn't practiced. Like he hasn't even done any individual stuff like some of these other guys have done working back. So I would say very like doubtful, up in the air right now.
To me, it'd be not that big of a deal because of the three guys we just said. I think Valentine and Nixon are fine out there in the outside, and I think Bullard's obviously locked in at the slot. I think when Hobbs does come back, he'll take Valentine's spot in the outside. And I think the Lions, like I've talked about this entire whatever, they're going to do a lot of two tight end sets. So I think the Packers are going to have three linebackers out there quite a bit. So I think the corner depth like this week is like, obviously I want him out there. I trust him more than Valentine. Valentine's not that physical. I would love Hobbs out there because he will fill in the run game, and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to bounce shit outside, and I would love to have him out there, obviously, over Valentine. But to me, it was just with how the Lions play, like coverage-wise, like you're telling me Valentine's just going to have to try to cover Jamison Williams and he's just a speed guy. Like that's what Valentine's best at. That's like literally what he's for. I'm fine with it. So as long as he doesn't get matched up on Amon-Ra St. Brown too many times, and he'll get cooked then because he's not a change direction guy. That's what Nixon's better at. So as long as they can keep those two, Nixon on St. Brown and Valentine on Jamison Williams, just running deep routes and shit, like I'm fine with it this week. The only thing that it scares me in the run game, like I said, but to me it's not that big of a deal yet, or this week especially.
Okay. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but Micah Parsons' impact week one will be blank.
I don't know if I want to go ahead.
I was going to say huge. Huge. He's going to, like, they're not going to be able to do, like, you're not going to be able to do all this crazy shit and stuff like that. But like I just said, the fact that the two guards are new, like they can put enough in and a defensive package in if I guarantee on Sunday if they get him into a second and long, third and long situation, you're gonna see Gary and Van Ness rushing off the edge against the two good tackles, Decker and Sewell. They're not whatever. But I guarantee you're gonna see Devontae Wyatt over one of the guards, and you're gonna see Micah Parsons lined up over the other guard and stand up. And they're gonna say, "All right, motherfuckers." Like Penner is gonna have to help either one. And at that point in time, either I would guess Adrian Cooper is gonna come, and they're not gonna be able to. So yeah, I think they're gonna put Parsons over top of guard and just basic whatever, and probably the same blitz, but they're gonna try to run it 3 or 5 times. Hopefully, if we can slow down their run game at all. Yeah, I think it'll be huge. I think they're going to force the Lions to keep an extra tight end, keep an extra running back in, get Jahmyr Gibbs out of the game on third and long because he's not as good of a pass protector. Montgomery's better, or whatever. I can't even remember the third running back. He's been there forever. Whatever, doesn't matter. For third down running backs in, I think the fact that you have Parsons in there and they have to help, it actually takes Jahmyr Gibbs out of the game. No dump offs and stuff like that. So I think it'll be huge whether he gets a sack or not or 2 or whatever. I don't think he has to. I think just that the fact that they're going to have to vacate their wide open pass game a little bit to worry about protection is going to be a big deal.
I know I was gonna say like impactful, but I feel like that's just like what is his impact's gonna be impactful. I'll go noticeable. Just because like there's very few players in the league where like you don't really have to coach them. I think like they're just so freaking good and like they're elite at like certain things. I think Micah Parsons is that. Like he can come in 1 week of practice or 3 or 4 days of practice and be very noticeable, I think, on this defense, specifically because last year, the 2 times we played the Lions, like it was very unnoticeable what the pass rush was. And I feel like Jared Goff had all day to just carve our defense up and why we got kind of in huge holes. So I think Micah Parsons can kind of change that completely. And I think just like the idea of Micah Parsons and like what are they going to do with him? I think the Lions are really thinking about their game plan right now. And Matt LaFleur even said like how much hell it is to plan against like a Micah Parsons defense, like in his time as a head coach. I guarantee it Dan Campbell and the offensive staff is thinking the same thing now of like how do we try to take him out of the game or what can we do to try to limit him? It's very tough. And I don't think you can really take him out of the game. You can just slow him down, but he's going to be very noticeable. Hopefully open up some things for other guys as well and get a couple sacks and actually make Jared Goff look uncomfortable because my God, Jared Goff looked awesome against the Packers in both games last year, and that was so frustrating because he just doesn't look like a guy that should look awesome like in any game, but he just does it always.
Yep. All right, good stuff. We'll move to the other side of the ball now for the offense. Jordan Love's thumb will be blank week 1.
I am going to say like, if I'm going to give it percentages, I'm going to say like he's going to be like 80% probably. But I don't think it's going to impact him. I think he's going to be I think he'll be a full go to like what he can do. I think the question is like who he's going to be throwing to more. Like I don't know what I think Riley talked about earlier. I think the offense is going to be very basic and very like straightforward of maybe what we've seen in camp just because of all the injuries and the uncertainty at some positions. So I don't think Jordan Love is going to be the problem. I think it's just like the health and just kind of overall cohesiveness and flow of the offense right now, like you talked about earlier, of like where are we at right now with that and how long is it going to take, and hopefully we don't get in a hole. But I don't think he'll be a problem. I think he'll be healthy enough to play, and it's not his legs. Like I think that's the big thing. It's not a lower body injury. That's what limited him so much last year, and him being able to move around the pocket and extend play. So I don't think he'll be a problem on Sunday.
Yeah, going up with kind of just what counts. I think his thumb injury is going to be a benefit. I think it's going to force LaFleur to roll him out because they don't want him to sit in the pocket and worry about his hand getting bumped or whatever. Because that's the only way it's going to obviously affect him if his hand gets hit or whatever, or the pain town and stuff like that. I think that's going to force him to play action, roll him out, do all that stuff that I think he's actually better at. That I wish that I've said all off season. We've talked about how like we wish they would do more of it, like how they did against the Cowboys 2 years ago in the playoffs. So yeah, I think it's actually secretly a benefit, and I think it'll actually get him in a groove faster and get his confidence up for when he can sit there in the pocket and they need him to.
Okay. Last one here. The starting offensive line from left to right on the Packers' first offensive play will be blank.
I almost feel like me and Riley need to go different here. I'm going to see what he says first because I might go different.
From left to right, I will go left tackle Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins. I'm gonna say Jordan Morgan starts at right guard, and then obviously Zach Tom at right tackle.
Shoot, that's what I was going to
Wow.
say. That's what I was going to say too. But to switch it up, I will say Jordan Morgan. If Aaron Banks is healthy and starts at left guard, I think they're going to roll Jordan Morgan out left tackle, and I think Sean Ryan will start at right guard, and so it'll be Elton Jenkins at center and Zach Tom at right tackle. But the big thing is, I do not think that's what the offensive line is going to look like the entire game. I think they're going to do some like rotation bullshit and kind of get Rasheed Walker and Jordan Morgan both in there at left tackle and kind of do some rotations. I think.
I agree. I think that Jordan Morgan is better at left tackle right now, but this last week they've made multiple comments, and to me they do this shit on purpose. They've made multiple comments about whatever they do lineup wise, they want to get the 5 best offensive linemen out there, and I think those two are obviously both better than Sean Ryan, and the only way that the puzzle fits is for Jordan Morgan to go to right guard. That's the only reason I think that. Otherwise, I think Jordan Morgan's better at left guard or left tackle than Walker is. I just think those 5. I think Rasheed Walker is one of the best 5. That's just the only way they all fit together.
All right, Colin, what is your starting 5 first play?
Right. I will go Jordan Morgan at left tackle, Aaron Banks left guard, Elton Jenkins center, Sean Ryan right guard, and Zach Tom right tackle.
Okay.
A shifter up from Riley a little bit.
All right.
Riley will probably be right though, but just for the sake of being different, I think we'll see both of those combos at some point in the game.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more.
Fill in the blank.
Okay. One more quick one for you. I just thought of.
Yeah.
All right, we've always talked about Matt LaFleur typically has a really good like opening series scripts, and he struggles with adjustments afterwards. So my question is very simple: the Packers' opening drive will result in blank.
A 75-yard touchdown to Matthew Golden. The fucking Lions play press. We have not seen Golden go deep all preseason. He's fucking saving it. It's going to be a fucking bomb to Golden, I promise you.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what's like. They're going to take a shot. I don't know if he'll catch it, but I'm telling you, within the first 3 days, they're taking a shot with Golden.
Give me flashback to the Christian Watson, Aaron Rodgers hitting Christian Watson on dime and him dropping it the first play against the Vikings. Like, what was that, his rookie year, 3 years ago, whatever that was? Something similar to that.
Yeah.
Mike, how are you filling that blank?
Oh boy. I'm going to say first possession ends in I'm going to be a Debbie Downer here. I'm going to say it ends in a punt.
Three and out punt, or they move the sticks at least once?
They'll move the sticks at least once.
At least once. Get a first down. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. I think they will get a couple first downs and end like right before midfield. Like that's my prediction. I think his opening like 4 or 5 play scripts will look good. And we'll see from there. But yeah, fun fill in the blank. I like those. Might keep doing those every week. I think it naturally brings out some good discussions there with the Packers. But
yeah.
All right. Let's switch to college football. And I just thought about this on the fly. Well, we're gonna see if it sticks. I'm gonna call this after we just talked about potentially 3 and out. I'm gonna call this next segment 3 and out. I'm gonna give you 3 questions about the college football opening weekend, and you can kind of take it wherever you want. I try to not make it too hard because this is all surprising to you. We'll try to keep it super simple. But on for first down, I'm going to talk about the Wisconsin Badgers.
Huh.
I feel blank about the Wisconsin Badgers after their opening game W.
The same as I have since last season ended. And we knew what their schedule was going to look like. I like how the defense played. I think the defense will probably keep them competitive for a while, at least against some of their tougher conference opponents. Um, I know they're playing Miami of Ohio. That's not like a great opponent by any stretch. But I think like just the way that they play, a lot of players back. Sebastian Cheeks, that was a guy that really stood out to me. Also, great name, Sebastian Cheeks. The offense, man, I don't know. They're tough to watch. And now, I mean, I already didn't know like much about Billy Edwards, how he was going to play, how he's going to fit in. Now he's going to be week to week, I think. I just don't have a lot of confidence in the offense. So I feel the same as I have for I don't know how long. Just kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Resigned to what their season's going to be. So anything better than what I'm expecting is a bonus.
Yeah, I honestly feel bad for Wisconsin fans because it's like watching Iowa the last few years without like their defense is good, but they're not like Iowa level defense the last couple of years. Maybe they'll get there. They do look good, but yeah, like they're bad. Like
Yeah.
they're not gonna win 5 games. They're gonna go 4-8 at best. Like their offense is never gonna score points. It's not gonna happen.
I know. I was gonna say like kind of like sad because like I want to know if any college football team has ever had their starting quarterback 3 straight years get injured at the start of the season and have to like roll with the backup. The luck that Wisconsin has had. So yeah, we'll see like what Billy Edwards' status is. I know, Mike, you mentioned potentially game to game that you saw. If it is going to be a long-term thing or if he is going to be back at some point, or are they going to roll with the backup? Because yeah, the second quarter on was pretty tough to watch. They had to work very, very hard to move the sticks and kind of get out of there with the victory. But
I mean,
yeah.
17-0 against Miami of Ohio is pathetic. If you're a bettor and I'm not a betting man, I'm betting against Wisconsin against the spread every game this year.
Yeah. So till they prove you wrong, and I don't know if they're going to prove you
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We talked about
The under. Bet the under.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, probably.
We talked about Luke Fickell potentially being on the hot seat if there is like a getting worse, I guess. What's the word? A regression from last season. Is it fair, before we get into second down, is it fair if his starting quarterback's out for the 3rd straight season? Is it like tough to like put that solely on him if you're going with your backup for the final 9 games, or is it just at this point of, hey, dude, it's happened 3 years in a row, figure it out, get better depth? That's your problem, not being prepared.
I don't know. There's so many layers to that I mean, there's obviously conversations that I don't know how they go down, and I mean, I'm sure like donor money comes into play and NIL money. I mean, there's so many different layers these days with college sports. I don't know. I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think Chris Mack's gonna ride with him for a while because that was his hire, and I don't know. We'll see.
But me, it's on him because when we talked about this last week, like, I don't fucking care if you even show up with a quarterback. It's Wisconsin. Like, you should have a good enough offensive line to be able to run the ball to score more than fucking 17 points against Miami of Ohio. Their offensive line's not good. That's on recruiting, on development. Like, he's been there 3 years. Like, they have not developed. They haven't gotten any better there. They literally, like, one of us 3 should be able to play quarterback for Wisconsin against Miami of Ohio and hand the ball off, and we will the offensive line should be able to get us more than 17 points.
Yeah. We've seen some, like you mentioned, the Iowa teams. There was a stretch of Iowa teams that did not have good quarterback play, and they still cranked out 9 or 10 wins just kind of with complimentary football. But yeah, like you said, it doesn't seem like it's quite there depth-wise and just overall talent-wise right now up front. And at certain positions for Wisconsin. But hey, they are 1-0. It doesn't matter how you win the games. They are 1-0, and they got a good chance to be 2-0. I think this upcoming week. But all right, let's move to second down and keep it very broad. We're gonna go on the negative side. The biggest loser overall from the opening week of college football is blank, and this can be team, player, coach, situation. Like, it is very up in the air of who you think the biggest loser of the opening week of college football was.
Riley, I'll let you take this one first.
I think I'm gonna go with Arch Manning. We talked about this pre-show. I just like, and I the fact that Sark did not let him check out of certain plays bothers me. Any plays like there, he's not a check. I don't whatever, and people are gonna say, well, he hasn't played. Like, dude, he's been in. This is his third year. Like, what has he been doing in practice and film the last 2 years? Like, how can he not count a box? Like, you come out like Ohio State would have 5 guys in the box and they'd still like do a pass play. They'd have 8 guys in the box. He'd fucking still call the run play. And on stuff that he did have, he just was so unsure. Any type of pressure flusters him. If his first read in his head or first guy that he wanted to look at was not open, like it wasn't like it just like to me it just he does not. It's like he doesn't see it or doesn't get it. Like in I don't know. To me, like you can't fix that. Like if he doesn't get it by now in his third year, I get that he hasn't played much, but Jesus, like Texas's backups that he's going against in practice are still probably better than 85% of the rest of college football defensive like guys that he's gonna fucking play anyway. So if he does not get it, and it seems like he doesn't to me, like that's a big deal. It's not like he's a true freshman. Like he looks so uncomfortable. Like Julian saying, true sophomore, whatever he is, like so much, and nobody knows who the fuck he even is for Ohio State. He looks so much more comfortable, like so much more comfortable, and like they had the training wheels on him, and he still looked more comfortable. So I don't know. That's to me, it was a big L, and I think and I'm sure you guys saw social media. He was just getting shit on, and if he does not figure it out, it's going to be a long life for him if he doesn't figure it out, because he's got it's not fair, but his expectations are so high.
For me, biggest loser is probably Kalen DeBoer, coach of Alabama, and on a bigger level, probably that program as a whole. Man, I think they had some high expectations going into this first game against Florida State, especially with Florida State coming off that 2-10 season last year. There's a lot of talk about how DeBoer brought back Ryan Grubb, his offensive coordinator that he's had so much success with in his previous stops, and they just did not look good. Florida State looked a lot more physical than Alabama, which is something you typically do not hear about an ACC school against an SEC school, let alone it being Alabama. They sure look like they've taken a turn, so to speak, from the Nick Saban days, and they're not even that far removed from it. So another thing we talked about pre-show, if he loses a few more games, 3-4 games, like Kalen DeBoer, if you're not on the hot seat, he might already be out of there.
I agree with both of yours. I gotta have to go with Dabo and my pick to win it all in our college football preview show a couple of days ago. Clemson had a golden opportunity at home, just an awesome atmosphere, the entrance, so many opportunities that they just gave away, I think. And we talked about Klubnik and Riley's hate for him last show. I think he's probably riding high after saying that he wasn't impressed with him because, yeah, he struggled, certainly. So, yeah, you don't get too many opportunities just with how their schedule kind of lays out the rest of the year and how down the ACC is. But, man, that was a missed opportunity where I think they had chances to win that game. And I think just too many misplays and mistakes. And, just the last play, turning it over on 4th down to kind of seal it, which I thought he scrambled right into the blitz, in my opinion. But it was a great call on defense. But yeah, just a big loser, I think, where they could have won that and set the tone and got eyes back on him, and just didn't happen. So Clemson's my big loser of the week. But third down, biggest winner, most impressive, or just like what stood out to you the most in the opening week of college football on the positive side. So we'll call it the biggest winner, team, game, player, whatever. What was your biggest winner for college football?
I think Brian Kelly, coach at LSU, bought himself some good graces down there after losing however many season openers in a row down there, and going and doing it on the road in Clemson. That was a pretty hyped up matchup. I don't like Brian Kelly. I think he's arrogant, but unfortunately, I do have to say, like, he probably was one of the bigger winners this week in college football.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it pains me being a Florida Gators fan, I'm at to say Florida State kind of going off. Mike just said this, the opposite, just getting a transfer quarterback in Castellanos out of Boise State. He just completely flips the entire program. Just shows how important a quarterback is in any level of football. I mean, obviously Florida State has athletes there everywhere else, but last year they had no quarterback play, so they went 2-10 and they sucked, and now they got one, and their swagger is completely back, and they just beat the absolute shit out of Alabama in pretty much every aspect. So, yeah, my biggest winner would just be Florida State and as a whole.
All right, I got to go kind of a little homer and go my fandom. I got to go with on the Illinois side. I got to go Hank Beatty as my winner. There's been so many question marks of what the Illinois offense is going to look like if they have enough firepower to pull out some of these wins and make a run at the college football playoff. And Hank Beatty, I think, is going to be their best playmaker. A little white slot receiver. Got some wheels, good hands, just kind of intelligent, returned a punt, which looked pretty damn impressive. I think he had 5 or 6 catches and ended up over 100 yards. So I think he's going to end up being Luke Altmaier's go-to guy consistently throughout this entire season with a pretty deep wide receiver room. It's just kind of what guys are stepping up. I think Hank Beatty's going to be the guy, and I think he kind of has to be the guy with what they're going to do on offense. So got to give a little love to Hank Beatty and kind of what he did and probably one of the bigger opening season crowds that Illinois had in a long time. So he had a lot of empty seats the last decade there. So it was good to see full orange and change that a little bit. But all right, well, that's 3 and out there. Three big questions for the college football season. We'll try to do those every week as well to get a little college football talk in. But it is time now for the final drive. And we're going to switch it up since games have started. Instead of doing random fun topics every week, we're going to start picking some games. And we're going to keep some standings for the entire season. So we're going to stick in the NFL realm. It's going to be fun because you can also, all our listeners can follow along throughout the season. Tell us your picks in the comments. We're going to pick the NFC North every week. We're going to do our lock of the week, and we're going to do an upset of the week. So this can range. If NFC North teams all play out of division opponents, that could be 4 games, and then it could be all the way up to 6 with our lock of the week and upset. However, this week, obviously, the Packers play the Lions. The Vikings play the Bears. We'll do our lock and do our upset. So we're going to have 4 total games. The one curveball is we can only pick our lock of the week once for the entire season. So you cannot do your lock of the week, do the same team twice during the whole season. So that's going to be a little bit difficulty in that. So let's start with the NFC North games. Riley, I think Riley's going to keep track of our record. We'll go each week, and then at the end of the season, maybe have a fun punishment or something at the end or something for the winner. But let's start right here in Green Bay. Packers, Lions, and this is just straight up, no spread or anything. Riley, who is your pick for Packers, Lions?
It's actually a tough one, and going back and forth, but I think the Packers are going to ride the momentum of the Micah Parsons trade and being at home, and I think I don't know if they're announcing defense first, but if they do, it may not.
I hope so.
That. The energy, I just think they're gonna ride that, and I'm gonna go with the Packers to beat the Lions.
I love everything you said, Riley. However, I'm going with the Lions here, unfortunately. I don't want to. I just feel like Dan Campbell, I mean, he's had Matt LaFleur's number here for the last few years. Just too many question marks on the Packers side right now for me to have total faith in them. So, unfortunately, I think the Lions do win. I think it'll be close, but I do think the Lions take this one, unfortunately.
I know I hate to do it, but I'm going to pick the Lions as well. And I think it's going to be very deja vu from last year. Where I think the Packers are going to get in a hole early because the offense is going to look a little sluggish. I think the Lions are going to come out firing in the first quarter, second quarter, and Packers are going to dig themselves in the hole and they're going to make one of those Packer comebacks, Packer rallies or fake rallies, whatever you want to call it, and get it within like one score, but just not make a play at the end. So that I'm going to go Lions, at least for this first meeting. So I will agree with Mike on that end. But all right, let's keep it going. We'll run it back. I will start it. Vikings and Bears. This one was also a tough one. It is in Chicago. However, I don't know. I just think Kevin O'Connell is one of the better coaches in all the NFL. I think he's going to have I think he's going to have his offense ready. McCarthy. I don't know why I said McNamara. I was thinking something else. JJ McCarthy ready. I know I was thinking something else there. But I think the Vikings are going to win. I don't want to say comfortably. I think they win by at least one score, maybe even like a low double digits, like 10 points or something like that. I think they go on the road and get the W just with that defense. Yeah, it's Ben Johnson, but like you're playing one of the better defensive minds in football that's returning, and they got some good players on that side. And Justin Jefferson is healthy and playing. I know Jordan Addison isn't, but I think they have enough to take down Chicago.
Yeah, I don't believe in Chicago at all. I don't care that they have Ben Johnson. I think it's going to take them a little while to get synced up with Caleb Williams. Maybe someday they'll be good. Maybe. But until further notice, like you said, Kevin O'Connell, just a brilliant head coach. I'm going with Minnesota in this one too.
Yeah, we're going 3 for 3 in this one. I'm going with Minnesota, but I'm going to go with the defensive side. I think they win this game because of defense. I've talked in the offseason, and Collin just kind of brought up Brian Flores is a fucking psychopath. I think he is going to confuse the fuck out of Caleb Williams, and I get that it's Ben Johnson in offense. And guess what? Ben Johnson's been in the division. Brian Flores knows exactly how a Ben Johnson offense works. So, not that big of a deal as there's a new coach and that he's whatever. Like, he knows how his offense works. He knows what he's going to want to do. I think Flores is going to be very creative and get a lot of pressure, and Caleb's going to be running for his life the entire game. Unless the Bears can get a run game going, which I think that's still their weakness in offense. I do not believe in their run game. So I think it's going to have to rely on the pass, and I think Flores is going to dial it up.
All right, let's go to our lock of the week. And remember, this team can be the only time that you pick them for the entire season. Mike, you were the only one that hasn't been first going here. So I'm going to start with you. Who is your lock of the week this week?
My lock of the week is Arizona against New Orleans Saints. Riley mentioned a few weeks ago, I think, that he thought the Colts were going to be the worst team in the NFL, maybe. I think the Saints are going to be the worst team in the NFL. I think they're going to be horrible. Their quarterback situation, starting Rattler, I don't think he's going to be that good. They might bring in Tyler Shuck at some point if Rattler can't handle it. I just think the Saints are absolutely terrible, and Arizona's I don't think that great, but I think they're good enough to beat New Orleans. So give me Arizona for my lock of the week.
I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. So make some people happy in Collin's house. Denver Broncos, the Tennessee Titans. Sean Payton versus a rookie quarterback. That offense, Knicks, second year. Broncos probably have a top 5 defense. So, yeah, it's not going to be fun for Cam Ward, I don't think, against that defense. And then Sean Payton's just a genius, and everybody's high on him. I've been high on him all off season. So yeah, I'm going Broncos over Titans.
Yeah, I tried looking at this as a strategic thing as well of like early on, can I pick some teams I maybe wouldn't pick otherwise? And I hate to do it, but me and Mike are going to be three for three here on agreeing. I also had the Cardinals over the Saints just because I do not think I'm going to pick the Cardinals any other point this season for my lock of the week. And I do agree. I think the Saints are terrible. So going to take advantage of that early on and try to get some points. And yeah, I also have the Cardinals over the Saints as my lock of the week. So, all right, last one, your upset. And again, this is the only time we're kind of going off of the line and the spread. Just like what kind of qualifies as an upset. They can't be favorites, obviously. We're not just saying, oh, we think this team is better than this team, so we're going to qualify as an upset. It's actually what the spread is. So we'll start with you, Riley. Who is your upset of the week?
This was a tough one. There's a couple places I wanted to go. I couldn't talk myself into Chargers over Chiefs. I wanted to do that one. I settled on, and I mean, I guess according to the spread it is. I don't even know if it's an upset. But I have the Panthers over the Jags. For some reason, the Jags are 3-point favorites. I think it's just because they're at home. I'm not going to say I'm high in the Panthers, but like they showed flashes last year. I think Dan Murphy being the president there now, everything's kind of turning around. Bryce Young showed some flashes. I think these young receivers are going to step up. Good run game with Hubbard. So, yeah, and I think until proven otherwise, I'm going to say that Trevor Lawrence doesn't have it figured out. And yeah, I'm gonna go with the Panthers as 3-point underdogs, just outright beating the Jags.
My underdog, I'm gonna go with the Las Vegas Raiders as 2.5-point underdogs at New England. I know Vrabel, he's gonna instill some toughness in that New England team. But I think Vegas is talented. Bringing in Geno Smith. Have some decent wide receivers. Brock Bowers at tight end. Riley, you want to say something?
Genty's a stud. Ashton Genty's a stud.
Sure, we'll go with that. Ashton Genty might be a stud. Jerry's still out. Yeah, and I'm not sold on Drake May. I don't know about their offensive weapons up there in New England yet. Give me Vegas for my underdog this week.
My pick is also their 2.5-point underdogs, Texans. I'm going to go Texans over the Rams, just because all the uncertainty with Matthew Stafford and like what his health is. And I think there's a lot of question marks potentially on that side of the ball for the Rams. I think the Texans have some to prove here. C.J. Stroud specifically has some a lot to prove here in his third year. I think he's got one of the better receivers in football, Nico Collins. And if they get some of these other guys back and reeling, I think that's a really good kind of sneaky playoff pick team that could win some games maybe they're not supposed to. So I'm going to go Texans over the Rams. So that is our final drive and our pick. So if you want to comment, tell us who you think is going to win the Lions-Packers game, the Vikings-Bears game, who is your lock of the week, and who is your upset of the week. And going back to the Vikings game, for some reason Cade McNamara was in my head. I have no idea why. What a random name.
Because he started out as the starter at Michigan before McCarthy replaced him.
That's what it was, yeah. So I don't know why my brain was thinking that, because I don't know, yeah, and just kind of let it out. So there's an error on my side. So all right, any final thoughts before we get out of here? In NFL, college football, just anything in general.
We do have a few comments on Spotify I want to address really quickly.
Yep.
So the first one is from Logan. He commented in our preseason wrap-up episode. He first of all was talking about picking a team in the EPL, English Premier League. He said, "Thanks for the shout-out. Ted Lasso got me into it. I refuse to choose a team at the top of the table. Can't be a bandwagon. We'll keep you all updated." So Logan, we'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Question for you all. Who are your top fantasy guys this year you're targeting, and who is going to break out?
That's for you, Mike. specifically.
Yeah. I'll let you two go with that since you're the fantasy guys.
I always ride with running backs just because, like, there's not that many at the top. Like, I think if you get 2 good running backs early, like, your team's probably set up because you can get quality receivers later. You cannot get quality running backs later. So, yeah, I'd say, I think the top guys are obviously, you got Bijan, everybody's high on. I'm always going to go with Saquon. Until Saquon dies or somebody in the offensive line for the Eagles dies, like, I'm fucking picking Saquon. You can never go wrong with Derrick Henry later on, obviously, if Josh Jacobs here and Jahmyr Gibbs, but you never know how many touchdowns can get stolen from him. CMC, maybe he's back. I'd ride all those top running backs and get them while they're there.
I could see Drake London being a sneaky, like, wide receiver 1 potentially towards the end of the year too, if he gets some with Penix. And then how about breakout Tucker Kraft? Could Tucker Kraft be a top 3, maybe even flirt with the top tight end spot and scoring wise in fantasy? I would not be surprised. So that's one I could potentially look at as well. But I want to just address that too. Can't be a bandwagon top the table. Is that a shot at Mike? Mike rolling with Arsenal. Is that a direct shot at you or an indirect shot at you, Mike, potentially?
Potentially, but he and I can sort that out when I'm in Green Bay next weekend. So that team was also suggested to me by you, Collin, just FYI, because I knew nothing about EPL. So I'm kind of laying that at your feet as well.
They played tough today.
They did.
All right. Shout out Bournemouth, by the way. Shout out Bournemouth. I don't know if Collin watched. I'm sure Mike obviously didn't, but their tactic of just being fucking complete psychopaths for the first 10 minutes of the game and scoring, and they did. And then playing defense the last 80 minutes, it worked again. So that's Bournemouth style. We're gonna keep rolling with it.
All right, keep the comments going, Mike.
Yeah,
next ones.
All right, Logan. Good stuff. Can't wait to hear from you next weekend. And then we got a couple comments from the Soda Brothers in our podcast, our emergency podcast regarding Mike Parsons. Sam says, really feels like Gary and the cornerback room have to be the biggest benefactors of the trade. Gary should get less attention and corners won't have to cover 4 or 5 seconds. And then Max says, fleece the Cowboys. Jobs will be secured and lost with this move. Maybe time for a new jersey. Currently rocking just a yellow Reebok Rodgers jersey.
Sam rocks the Sam Congado jersey that he still has from I don't know how long ago. So both of them repping. Well, I guess Rodgers isn't too much of a throwback, but two maybe not as popular jerseys. So gotta respect the move for both of them. I don't know how many like yellow Rodgers jerseys I've seen around Green Bay on game days, but love it both. But yeah, I obviously agree with both of those. I mean, Rashawn Gary should shine. I would hope. I think this is a potentially could be a big year for him in a contract year and free up some, not see as many double teams as he's potentially seen. And yeah, the corners also been a factor. And yeah, again, I talked about this, I think, in that episode. I think the Packers won big on the trade, at least for now, just with current next like 3 or 4 years. We'll see ultimately how those like draft picks turn out with the Cowboys and what happens with Parsons. But as of now, Goody, a huge win, I think, on the trade and exactly what the Packers needed. So yeah, thanks for the comment, both of the Soda Brothers.
That's what we had. Thanks for the comments, people. Keep them coming. Love to hear from you.
All right. Better see all 3 of you comment on this next episode about our picks. Like I said, keep giving us those 5-star reviews. Keep commenting. Keep sharing on the Dairyland Drive podcast. We appreciate and enjoy all of our listeners and all of our comments and have fun with this every week. And it's just going to get more fun as NFL games get underway this upcoming Thursday. The Cowboys and Eagles are going to kick it off. We have the Brazil game on Friday on YouTube and then the full slate on Sunday. So a fun week of football with some good matchups. But once again, thanks for listening to the Dairyland Drive podcast. We will see you next week's episode. Collin, Mike, and Riley, thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Go Pack, go.